It's Monday and time for the Back to Business podcast, featuring Calgary's industry leaders. Welcome today's show host, Kim Hayden.
So what are you looking forward to most this Stampede? I am sure that this next conversation, we're going to cover it all. Michael Wetherup is in the studio, and he has been working the Stampede since a boy of 4, one way or another, from, the parade to our caravan pancakes to, the designing and being on the board of where Calgary Stampede is going. So stick around. This is a conversation you are not going to want to miss. But first, our land acknowledgement. We here at the Calgary Petroleum Club, in the spirit of reconciliation, honor and acknowledge that the land on which we learn, work, and live is Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. This place is a traditional homeland for the First Nations and Métis peoples, and today we all are part of this treaty land. Alrighty, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
For those of you who are just listening, you will have to make sure you go over to YouTube, because Michael has my vote for best head of hair I've ever had in this studio. You look just like a good cowboy western, but you're doing the head of hair for a reason. You're growing it out. What are you doing, Michael?
It's Young Adult Cancer Canada, YAC, as they like to be called, the Shave for the Brave, and the Shave a Lid at Stampede Time, the Stampede Shave. It supports young adults sort of between 18 and 40 years old with their treatment and support, which is an area that's really lacking. So we're hoping I'd love to break the Stampede record, which was $30,000. But I did have a friend of mine today reach out and say, well, what if I could get you connected and we got over $100,000? He said, would you do a full body wax? And I'm like, oh, good Lord. But I went, to support these young people for $100,000, I would do it. So I'll put that out to your listeners. If they go Shave for a Brave and donate to Michael Wetherup, we get over $100,000, I will do a full body wax. And believe me, I hope we don't get it.
Be careful what you wish for. All right, so let's set the stage a little so people can get to know a bit who Michael is. So you are currently on the board for the Stampede. So this is Stampede this time. We are going to be talking about that and how the Stampede, the Calgary Stampede community is year-round. It has open opportunity for people to engage and what it brings back to the individual and to the community. Michael, so everybody gets to know Michael a little bit. It sounds like you're a bit of a serial entrepreneur. You are a devoted father. Are you Calgarian through and through, like Albertan?
No, my dad was in the military, so we moved. He was from Fort Macleod originally. We moved every couple of years, but I have lived here since I was essentially 8 years old. So Alberta, Calgary is my home.
Calgary is, and there really is no better place. I'm just starting to really I'm seeing too many things everywhere going, Calgary's, I think I'm good just to explore my own backyard. You have your fingers in real estate. You have your fingers in multiple charity spaces. And a lot of the charity that you work within is geared towards different cancer initiatives because that has touched your family, so you personally. I do want to jump over because you were the parade. You managed the parade. I want to say Shania Twain was amazing. Oh my gosh, she was so incredible riding that horse during the parade, and she was beautiful. Tell me a little bit. Let's start with the beginning of Stampede. Tell me about that.
So that is the first event of the very first Stampede was the parade. And it showcased our partnership with our Western Spirit and our Indigenous partners. Our First Nations Treaty 7 partners led the first parade. So for us, it is a labor of love. There are over 200 year-round volunteers on that. We have about 285 event volunteers that come out for the Thursday evening and Friday morning to help us. 350,000 people approximately on the parade route. And again, it showcases all that's the best of Alberta. We have corporate floats and charity floats and just riding groups and just people coming out to enjoy what we do and showcasing our city to the world.
Last year WestJet had a really fun float last year. A lot of animation, a lot of movement. Like it was true big city float, like something you would see at Macy Day's parade kind of thing. And then what was the other one? There was a stagecoach one. There was a company that was a stagecoach.
There is so many
cool.
unique and creative floats. The Ismaili Muslims they could be in the professional float building business. The floats that they bring every year and the love they put into it and their connection with the Stampede and their culture and sharing their culture and our culture as far as the Western values and the Stampede spirit, they embrace it like nobody else. And we love having them as part of the parade and part of our community.
And what a great way to kick off. But again, volunteerism. Let's go through your personal journey with the Stampede. Where did we start and where are we at?
So I started as a little boy, essentially a young boy. My dad was, as I say, he was a soldier. He came back, and one of the things he always said to all of us, you may never serve in the military, you may never be a first responder. My brother was a police officer, my dad was in the military, but he said, you will serve your community. And the best way you can serve your community is volunteer. And there's so many different avenues and places that certainly could use our help. And I'm always grateful for our other volunteers to bring their time, talents, and passion to the Calgary Stampede. Because again, they could choose elsewhere and they make it so special of what we do. So he would take me down early morning hours. In those days, we didn't have Confluence for our horses. They were all over the East Village at the time. It wasn't very developed. My dad would say to my brother and myself, well, go find the Appaloosas. So we'd sprint through the East Village, find the Appaloosa group and go, you need to come get in the parade now. And then I was a street marshal for years. And then 25 years ago, I officially got on the parade committee and I worked my way through to everything from safety and ops, international media, got on the executive the year we did the parade route flip, changed the direction. I was chair of the parade that year. That was 15 to 17. Parade, I call it my family. My Stampede family, but we have a bigger Stampede family. After I finished, and I stayed on parade after that for that 25 years. And then at that time I went in and they did an ag realignment where we took 25 committees and turned them into 5. And so I led that. It was called Western Ag Heritage Committee. So to get into the sort of the ag side and the Western event side was a beautiful experience for me. And then they asked me to step into the Western Showcase, which became the art show, which is two of my favorite things in the world, art and wine together, and air conditioning during the hot days of Stampede. So if you haven't been down to the Western Oasis and seen the art show, you need to go. Like it is a must. And then I got asked to sit on Stampede Cellar Uncorked, which is the food and wine. We just had that event. And again, the team that did that, my hat off to them because absolutely amazing event. Award-winning wines and 30 of the top chefs in Southern Alberta and Calgary paired their best bite of food with the wine. So just a spectacular evening. And then I was nominated for the board. I went through that process. It's fairly intense because as a board, you're always looking for diversity and skill sets and abilities. And then, of course, you go through that. You're then elected to the board. It's a maximum 10 years, but every 2 years you're up for re-election. And so now at the board level, I'm more working on, the board works on the strategic, the 30,000 foot, the future of, not so operational.
Okay. You've touched on a few programs I was unaware of within Stampede. What are some other hidden gems within Stampede that you just wish more people knew about?
Well, there's 36 committees. And again, talking about the broader volunteer base, we have 3,000 volunteers, 1,200 year-round employees, and 3,500 seasonal employees. And it's truly a teamwork that everybody gets together to put on events, the 365, because we always focus on the 10-day, but we have the other 355. But some of the other pieces for me, there's committees, and whatever your interest is, we have corporate relations, we have Western events, we have our beautiful Treaty 7 and the Elbow River Camp to go over and see the culture and experience the richness in that partnership that we have. Pancake breakfasts. As we say, during 10 days, nobody goes hungry. You can go and get a pancake breakfast. We have promotions committee and caravan. And I love to say to our volunteers, and again, this is the greater effect. People will say, oh, I'm on parade or I'm Harry the Horse. on the promotions committee, or I'm on rodeo or chuck wagons, whatever the committee is. But they do so much more than that. The Stampede is responsible for almost $750 million annually in economic impact in the province, 630 million plus in the city. Like that in itself.
It's our Christmas. Stampede is our
huge.
Christmas. You know, when you think Black Friday, everybody goes, oh, Black Friday. Stampede is, and it makes or breaks a lot of businesses.
And I always think, even on the sort of to go down to the macro level almost a little bit, you start to see your servers and your house cleaners and, retail clerks. Maybe that they make enough money or extra money that they don't need any services in the city to help them during the rest of the year. That's the beautiful part about Stampede. And it really is an opportunity that everybody gets on the same page and just enjoys the city and promotes our city.
I think what's interesting around the Calgary Stampede and Stampede in general is that, again, you've touched several times on community, volunteerism, service, even for those that aren't part of, the cowboy culture. What I have found, because I've interviewed people with Stampede, and there's almost like this trail from like Houston to Cheyenne. There's this other community within it that then gets to experience Calgary. What are some of the things that you've heard from people who are from outside of Calgary that have come here for those 10 days to either bring their hot dog cart or be part of a parade or bring their horses for the wagons? Like, what do you hear on the other side from the people who experience our city through the lens of the Stampede?
Well, to me, the Stampede isn't just about the cowboy culture. It really is the Western spirit, and I think that means something different to everybody. And of course, we're in the third most culturally diverse city in Canada. So we have a changing face of our city, and Western culture changes with that. To me, a lot of that means if I look you in the eye, give you my word, and shake my hand, that should mean something. And people that come from outside of Calgary go, oh my God, this is truly a big city with a small town feel. It is that piece. They'll go, oh, I couldn't believe it. People just reached out and said, let me help you. What I see a lot of times, or I hear from people, is they'll be on the Stampede grounds and they'll see somebody with a name tag and some accreditation hanging around their neck, and they don't look and go, oh, that's Caravan. They have no idea that that's who puts on the pancake breakfast, but they'll go, oh, could you tell me where the BMO is, or could you tell me where the heavy horses are? And the volunteers will go, come with me, let me take you and show you. Not just, here, walk across there and go left. And they say that there's this connection and it's this friendliness, and really it is a community, and we welcome people into our community as part of that, to say, welcome to Calgary, and we love having you here.
So when we're looking at year-round impact of the Stampede, there's a lot of different charities associated to the Stampede. We also have the evolution of the Stampede grounds themselves and the capabilities. So let's take the grounds, the capabilities, the expansions. Walk us through, from your perspective, 25, 30 years from a boy of 4, you've watched the evolution of this. What are some of the things that you're going, that is awesome, or this is exciting, or let's kind of future forecast with the infrastructure that we're putting in place?
Well, the beautiful thing to watch the Stampede grounds change, and our CEO, Joe Colley, he pointed out we used to have a cricket grounds on the Stampede 100 plus years ago. And to see the changes, even there's a video you can see over the last sort of 50, 60 years, the changes in the park. For me as a kid coming down here, you would come straight on 17th Avenue. That was the entrance. So now we've opened that up again to allow people to come on to park through Florence Ledoux Way. But just the overall changes that we have, the Nutrien, the BMO, unbelievable. Last year, I think the BMO did 350 events, with our big one that we're super proud of was Rotary International, 15,000 delegates from 140 countries. Right now at the BMO, we have 15,000 athletes, coaches, in for the Canadian, I believe it's 15 to 18, under 18 volleyball nationals. And I got to experience that a couple years ago with my daughter, a few years ago. And if you need to come down, the talent, but bring some earplugs, because the noise level with young athletes screaming and cheering each other, it's loud.
It's
But
loud. Yeah.
to see the changes over the years, and we're very blessed because we just started our next 20-year master plan, and everybody thinks sometimes, well, you have a plan, now you change it, it's totally different. And really, it's a continuation of the previous 20-year master plan, which allows us flexibility. And we've been working with our partners at CMLC, Populous, and GGA Architecture Group, and true visionaries of what they're looking at doing and helping how people come on to park and go off a park. And it really becomes an opportunity for us to showcase the park and make it a place to gather for 355 days. As my wife and I often said, I never once outside of Stampede ever said, we should go to the park for dinner, because there wasn't a place. Tons of parking, but no place. And I think as people watch the evolving change with the 20-year master plan, there will be restaurants and bars and retail and outdoor concert space.
Even the Glenbow, like everything, they're making everything so I think they're creating a cultural ecosystem that is just going to, like, City of Calgary, Calgary Tourism, and on the BMO and the Rotary, they're hitting all their numbers and exceeding their numbers, which means, and people need to understand this, is that when one thing happens, it's a stone that goes into the water, and there's ripple upon ripple upon ripple. So when Calgary Tourism is out there working like crazy to introduce Calgary as your host city, not just Stampede, but year round, that is jobs for the person cleaning the room. That is opportunity for somebody who wants to do an art walk in downtown, a guided art walk. There are so many aspects of this, and I really am incredibly impressed as to how our city is working in tandem with all the organizations that have been persistent and persevered through the challenges, the ups and downs.
It is truly a partnership. Calgary Culture and Entertainment District, which is just off the edge of Stampede, so to speak. But it is a collaboration between all those groups. They support each other. They work together in how we can improve, because ultimately it's about the quality of life and what we can offer the citizens of Calgary and our own community. It's making sure that that's very rich, and the more we can bring in to help support the rest of the year. It's just, as you say, the housekeeper, the room cleaners, the retail clerk, the servers in a restaurant or a bar. It's the people sometimes that we get overlooked on. We get so focused sometimes on, we've got this going on, the high level, or, this company is doing this or moving to Calgary, which is fantastic. But at the same time, we need to take care of those that don't necessarily own a corporation or a company, or a small entrepreneur or a small business owner. Makes all the difference in the world.
So let's talk about those small entrepreneurs, those small businesses, because a lot of times when we look at large organizations like Stampede, the Calgary Stampede, Calgary Tourism, the daddy-daughter dance, we often look at the ticket sales or the sponsorship or those, and we go to the big organizations. Now, for businesses that are, let's say, 2 to 10, 2 to 20 employees that are true grassroots Calgary, but they're still in that high six figure. They're not wealthy. They're still just grinding it out. How can they be involved? And what do you believe, as an entrepreneur yourself, is the true benefit to not only themselves, but their staff and their company?
Well, a couple things. So first off, they can get involved in numerous different ways. A lot of times we look at, like, our major sponsors, GMC, WestJet, Wrangler, and you go, wow, I wish I could do that. I wish I had, deep pockets to be able to invest and support the organization like that. What a lot of people don't realize is, at a grassroots, smaller level, we have what we call community builders. And so they can pick, as I say, 35 committees. We have youth programming. Whether your interest is agriculture, if it's our First Nations, you have all these different committees that you can support as a community builder, and you get benefits for doing that where we invite you down. And that's a minimum of a $2,000 investment up to $19,999, so to speak. So you can put that in there and you get 4 all-access passes to the gate and the tarmac, our blue room, as we call it, our volunteer lounge, which is fantastic. So your staff can come down and use that and enjoy. The benefit as a small entrepreneur or a small business owner is you get to be with other like-minded individuals. And of course, we all know the importance of networking. So you're down there, you meet other people, other companies like your own, and the synergies that come out of that and the business you'll do. I know a ton of business gets done at Stampede during Stampede time. We just need to look at the corporate hosting. But again, you may not have $50,000 or $100,000 budget to come down and corporate host, but that brings us to one of our other pieces. You could bring your staff, for instance, to our new Corona Sky Deck. It's one of the new offerings we have this year to watch the grandstand or the chuck wagons, and it's a party deck. It will be open in time for Stampede, so you can bring your team down to say, guys, thank you. Like, here's a reward for great work this year. It's not crazy expensive, but you can come down and enjoy good food and beverage. You get to, again, support different committees if you want, and those avenues are open for you to do that. So,
and I love the fact that you're thinking beyond the corporate, beyond the C-suite. That's one of the things that I see here, like at the club. They have brought in the communal Christmas party. So I don't have to have a whole Christmas party. I can buy a table and bring my staff, and yet we get to experience a business Christmas party. And things are always they're more attainable and they're funner when it's a community. Okay, have to ask this. I love anything Broadway musicals. I love music, and the grandstand has always performed. It has always been. And I know there's a lot of volunteering. There's a lot of moving parts to bring that grandstand and bring it so it lands every single time. First of all, in all your years of going to the Stampede, of being part of the Stampede, is there a grandstand show that still stands out to you?
Well, there's been so many over the years, because they're all, every year you go and you're like, wow. Our young Canadians are amazing, the talent. And I mean, they start at the littles and they go right up to the seniors. Our show band gets involved in so many ways. Probably one of my favorite was the year Paul Brandt was in the pickup truck that lifted up into the sky, and the Cowboys coming off the top of the grandstand down to the stage on wires. But the pickup truck lifted up in there, and I believe it was Paul Brandt that did that and sang in the back of a pickup truck hanging, 100 feet in the air. But there's been so many over the years. And again, people say, oh, is it like a Western thing? And I go, no. I said, think Vegas, think Cirque du Soleil, think fireworks, think drone show, with a Western flair. It certainly adds our Western spirit to it, but it's for everybody. And that's what I love about Stampede, is there is something for everybody down on Park.
Absolutely. I think it's a true celebration. And again, that the epitome of the white hat. Like, Calgary just shows up, and I mean, we hear a few things now and then, oh, this or that, but overall, every year after year, every day shows up and has that open hand. Come on in.
It's so true. And there's so many pieces on Park, because a lot of people will go, things are getting more expensive. That is just the way it is.
Yeah.
But we have so many things you can come down. We have the extreme show with the motorcycles. There's so many pieces that the kids can come down. The ag part, you can come through and see all the agriculture. We have our kids' day and our seniors' day for where we invite people down. Come on down, come in for free and enjoy the park. There is art and wine, and you can sit in there, the Western Oasis, and listen to great music. And I love the fact that, and I'm not 100% sure on this stat, but I believe a number of years ago we had 28 live music venues in the city of Calgary, and I think we're down to 3 or 4 now. So Stampede has now become also one of the largest music festivals in certainly in Western Canada. Nashville North probably has one of its strongest lineups ever. We've got the Roadhouse, which we're actually taking back to the original Roadhouse feel, sort of classic country and Western and rock and roll. We have the Coke Stage, and it just goes on and on and on. There's so many events that you can come down and hear fantastic music. And again, the Coke Stage costs you nothing to come down and listen to it.
Quick question. I believe that there are organizations in Calgary like Kids Up Front and a few things like that, where if you're listening to this and you're struggling and you need some support, there are organizations that can even help support with getting tickets or experientials. Do you know of a few of those? I know Kids Up Front.
Kids Up Front is a great organization. Nikki Nash, of course, worked with her over the years. We did some partnership with Parade and some event things we put on for them. But that, again, is one of the things I love about our city. It's not just like we've got the Stampede Foundation, which supports youth programs, but there's so many different groups in the city that support all different levels of volunteer. Some of the things we do, you go, okay, down on grounds. Our promotions committee does a thing called Happy Trails. So they go out to all the seniors' homes. And I got to experience that for the first time about a month ago. Went to the seniors' home where my mom is, my mother-in-law, not my mom, my mother-in-law. And they go there and they take that Stampede spirit to those folks, and to see the smiles on the faces. We have our amazing Queen's alumni, and they do the Giddy Up events. I don't know whether you've heard of those.
No, I haven't.
4 events a year. I believe it's 4. I just did the Giddy Up breakfast. And so before park opens, they did this during Aggie Days. They bring down families of disabled kids who not necessarily can stand large crowds or loud noises, and they give of their time and themselves to put on these events for these families. And had one of the dads come up to me and say, "This is the most amazing thing. Do you know what you guys do?" And we said, "Oh yeah, we're very proud of the volunteers and all that they do." And they went, "No, our kids come here, and if they flip out or freak out or have a moment, nobody gives them a side eye. Nobody gives them that look and goes, 'Oh, this is terrible.' He goes, 'You just treat it like it's everyday normal, and we have a place where we can come and breathe and relax and be a family for a day and not think about it.'" And so, again, my hat's off to our Queen's Alumni Group, what they do. They give so much of themselves to the community. We've got pop-up neighbors, which I got to experience last year for the first time, where they take the trolley and horses and music, and we go out into the community and welcome new Canadians and new Albertans to the city. We just show up on their doorstep. There was a mom and her daughter that had just escaped, of course, the war in Ukraine. We showed up, and the tears and the emotional that, why are these strangers here welcoming me to our city and inviting me down to come and experience Stampede? Our volunteers do so much more than just participate and put on a parade or put on an art show or put on heavy horses or draft horse town or any of those pieces. They're actually making a difference in our community and touching the people that really need the help.
All right, Michael, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I want to wrap this up. If you could put one thing on a truck wagon tarp and run it around the city, not just for the 10 days of Stampede, but for the 365, what would your message to Calgary be?
I love my city, give back to others, and live with passion. Plain and simple.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on the Back to Business podcast. Be sure to visit calpeteclub.com, calpeteclub.com, to find out more about upcoming events, networking opportunities, and membership. If you are not already a valued member at the CPC, where we are proudly connecting and supporting Calgary's business leaders.